This episode of Hak5 is brought to you by Netflix, GoDaddy, and Squarespace.
Hello and welcome to Hak5. This is your weekly dose of technology, and here we are at the Marriott Wardman, Washington, D.C. for Shmoocon. Love this con. What's your feeling? He's a little hungover. We partied last night just a little bit. Matt went on a rampage. What about you?
I'm sore from all that dancing last night. We went clubbing.
They have excellent parties here at Shmoocon, but on top of that, they have excellent speakers, awesome security professional friends, lots of enthusiasts out here, tons of people coming up to us, being like, Hak5, what's up? You know, getting pictures taken, giving out stickers. I love hearing that. So if you ever see us at the con, hit us up. Matt, what do you think about us being like the little, what are we, like superheroes now?
Well, we've got, swag that they've never seen before. Yeah. And we have to thank Jason Applebaum, who is kindly operating the camera right now and being a little tool behind it. But he is the one that actually created these, what would you call them, limited edition first run kind of thing?
Actually, I like what Shannon said. Pimp jacket is probably the official term. Yeah. So, maybe we'll see. Keep an eye. So yeah, let's just kick it over and talk to some of our awesome security professional friends, see what's going on, and we'll see you at the end of the show. FastTrack's making like a huge splash lately. What's new with it, man?
Well, at FastTrack version 4, we did a complete rehaul of the entire code. And what we really try to do with it is make it an automated penetration suite for penetration testers that really just blows the lids off anything else out there. And we've done a lot of work with payload delivery options where it hasn't been done before, bypass any type of Windows restrictions that are out there, and really tries to hack the box.
So it's only been around for like 2 years.
Right.
It's really made a lot of evolution. What is it that makes FastTrack so unique?
There's a lot of things. I mean, the techniques that we actually use within FastTrack haven't been done before. When we go through and do the SQL injection attacks, which SQL injection obviously has been around for 10 years, but we spice it up and actually go through and do full system compromises without ever having an egress connection before the actual payload's delivered. So it's like, all the tools in it are really just automated. It allows you to compromise the box with relatively little effort, and really helps you guys find out exactly where the vulnerabilities are at.
Give me an idea of how this project kind of started.
And so I did a lot of work for the Backtrack guys, and I think it was Backtrack 2. And really started off with a lot of the tools and everything in there became out of date pretty quick. And so what I did was I started writing a script that we just started updating a lot of tools out there, and started to really try to automate a lot of that process. And basically I was doing a pen test in China, and I found that a lot of tools out there, they either really sucked or they were non-existent. So I'm like, okay, well, it's time for me to start writing this stuff. And now, so I wrote a bunch of tools within FastTrack that really try to automate a lot of methodologies for my company, Secure State, to really try to break into the systems like we would, that would normally take 2 or 3 days, if not more, and automate it to a couple seconds.
So this is basically the same syndrome that any system administrator has fallen into, and that is, wow, all of this exchange administration stuff is mundane.
Right.
You're just doing the same thing with
Right.
the penetration testing.
Right, and I really wanted to get it out to a lot of our clients too, so that they can understand what these attacks were, prevent against it, and then we can start doing more advanced attacks, because we were breaking into them, the first day, and so we might as well give them something to at least arm themselves with, to be able to test for what we test for, and try to elevate our attacks to get a little bit better of an edge.
Now, initially, this tool was just basically a lot of scripts that kind of like glued
Right.
a lot of stuff together. How has that changed?
Yeah, so all the tools on there are custom coded. So the SQL ownage tool, the SQL brooder that does the binary payload injections, all those are custom coded, completely independent tools, all coded in Python, and really just, are all just independent tools.
So, is this working with Metasploit, like the initial version? Is it an alternative to Metasploit?
We're not trying to recreate Metasploit by any facet. I mean, HD is a brilliant dude, and he knows a lot about exploit development, all that great stuff. What we really tried to do was take attacks that aren't in Metasploit and incorporate them into FastTrack. So the tools that we're actually using on there are custom coded. We do use Metasploit for like payload creations. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. And with the new MSF payload and MSF encode, gets past the antivirus no problem. it was definitely a good technique that we wanted to incorporate into FastTrack.
Can you tell me about that technique? I find it very interesting that, okay, so you've shown like lots of different ways in your talk to get different, shells on boxes, right? Sure. But once you've got shell on box, you got to deliver your tools to get your fun on. Yep. You've got a very interesting and creative way to do that. Can you tell me a little bit more about
Absolutely.
how you do that?
So most people, when they do a pen test, they'll do like a FTP echo file or TFTP or something like that. And what it does, or Netcat, they'll drop Netcat on the system, which gets flagged by antivirus. If you're doing any type of FTP or TFTP, a lot of times egress-wise, they don't allow those connections, or an IDS or IPS might flag on it if it's a decent one. So what we try to do was figure out a way that we can drop a payload onto the system without ever originating an egress connection until the actual payload hits. So what we end up doing is we use Windows Debug to take hexadecimal, drop it onto the underlying operating system, and then we use Windows Debug to convert our payload back to an executable. Now, what's interesting with this is Windows Debug has a 64K restriction. So if you're trying to drop an interpreter payload or a VNC, reverse VNC payload, it's going to be above 64 kilobytes. So you're really limited in what you can drop on the system. And so, where the other tools fail, where they drop Netcat and they use Netcat for transferring, what we end up doing was we just rewrote Windows Debug that takes out raw hex and spits out raw binary, so essentially completely bypassing the Windows 64K debug restrictions.
But how do you get your hacked version of the Windows Debug on the Windows system?
We use the debug technique to convert it on there the first time, and our Windows Debug
because it's under 64K?
It's under 64K, it's 5 kilobytes. It's a 5 kilobyte file.
There's something absolutely brilliant and beautiful about the simplicity of using the tool to download a hacked version of itself.
Yep.
And so, as far as the IDS is concerned, if you were like actually sniffing the wire, what would these tools look like? Is this
it's all hex traffic
over TCP? So it's
all hex traffic over TCP. It's all they would see.
Garbage.
So it's all garbage.
Yeah.
So the only thing that they would ever pick up would be that origination connection from the pop box out to the internet or a bind shell, whatever it ends up being. That would be it.
Wow. FastTrack's really come a long way in the last few years. What is coming up new in 4.1?
4.1's got a lot of cool things in it. We got a new Oracle module that we're releasing that's going to go after Oracle and do Oracle ownage in quite a bit of different fashions. We're also adding a lot of new features into FastTrack that really incorporate new attack vectors. Really, it's an ongoing process. I run a practice of highly talented individuals, and we're all just kind of crunching together, putting some really cool stuff in this and getting it out to the open source community. Absolutely
love it. Where can people go and get their hands on it?
If you go to securestate.com and go to the free tools section down there, you can also go to thepentest.com, and thepentest.com is where the subversion repository is at, so you can just pull it down from there. It's also got a bug tracker, a wiki, and also we go through. We actually outline each of the attacks, give you movies for each one of them and how you can use it, and then we actually give you ways that you can prevent the attacks. So it's all in one. So you can see how we exploit the systems and how you prevent from those attacks occurring, and it's also in the latest Backtrack 4 beta that got released here.
Awesome.
Yep.
Dave,
excellent.
Pleasure
meeting you, man.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yep. Take care.
So Joshua, tell me about your software, your wireless mapping software. How would you describe it?
So what it does is it allows the user to visually represent the information from Kismet in a manner that's flexible. So we're able to extract the information, store it in a database, and then query the database to extract only the information that's interesting to that particular user.
Now, why are we saving it to a database? Is it not like just taking the Kismet data and just running a report on it, or how does it differ?
So you're storing all of the information that Kismet would capture, but this allows us to extract the information that's useful for the user. So for example, we can make a graph, a visual representation of the Linksys access point that we see on channel 6 that are not using encryption.
How is this tool being used? Like paint me a scenario of what you would use, the GIS-Kismet for.
Okay, so the GIS-Kismet software that I've developed allows for an organization or a pen tester to go to an organization and say, let's do a wireless audit, and then I can represent only the information that is unique to you as an organization. So I can map out for a university, for example, only the information that a particular college would have, where the group that's brought in the consultants says, I only care about the information for my college. I don't care about the rest of the university. I don't care about the outerlying access points. I only want to see the information that's interesting
now,
to me.
When you say see the information, we're talking about a graphical representation. Can you give me a kind of an idea of how that comes together, like what it uses, how it looks?
Sure. So what it does is it just, currently we're graphing access points with a point in a particular place. It stores the information about the access points. So you see the list of clients, you see some information about the types of clients that are connected, the manufacturers, the channels, the encryptions that are being used, and any other types of information that is useful. So.
Sweet. And you were telling me earlier about some integration with Google Maps. Can you tell me how that works?
So all of the graphs are currently being generated are, what we're doing is you're pulling the information into Google Maps to visually represent the data. So that's the current graphical mapping solution that we're using.
So to use this, all I would need is, I'm assuming, a Linux laptop with a Wi-Fi card and a GPS?
Yep, exactly. And all you need to do would be capture the information with Kismet and then insert the information into a database. So it's fairly easy.
So where can I get this?
Currently, it's available online at GIS-Kismet.org. Feel free to send me feature requests, bugs. Happy to fix anything.
It's open source, so I can start playing with it, get knee deep in the code.
Totally open source, and it'll allow for people to visually represent the information that's interesting to them.
And I hear that it might be part of Backtrack 4 coming up.
Yep. We're going to include it in the Backtrack 4.
It's very exciting.
So.
Well, thanks for talking to us.
Excellent.
Very cool.
Thank you very much.
This month, not only do we have one LAN party game for you, but we have two, because we know you like zombies that much. We're playing Left 4 Dead at l4d.hak5.org and Zombie Panic at zp.hak5.org. And guess what? The servers are already open. We are playing this game on Saturday, February 28th, and I gotta thank our sponsor, GoDaddy. GoDaddy.com makes it easy to customize your own virtual dedicated server. Choose one of 3 popular plans or select your own Linux or Windows server with all the plan options you need. Plus, if you use code HAK5, you can get $10 off a $40 order or more. Some restrictions apply. See the website for details and get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com. Next up, we have some more awesome interviews from Shmoocon.
How did you get involved in putting together a Bluetooth monitor?
How did I get involved? It was, I started working with GNU Radio in the USRP, actually at work, and it wasn't even really what I was supposed to be doing in the first place. It was just, I started working at the Institute for Telecommunication Sciences, and there were some interns there that summer who were basically given a couple of USRPs and said, see what you can do with it. And like right after I got back from Black Hat, I went to a little presentation that they gave, and here's what we've been able to do with these USRPs at the end of the summer, And I looked at them and I said, holy cow, this has tremendous potential for security work. So I just immediately jumped in and started learning what I could, and I don't even know how I started thinking about Bluetooth, but I was looking at what the USRP maybe could do in general, and thinking about all the different kinds of wireless technologies that are out there. And at some point, I ran across Dominic's paper on using the USRP to decode a single channel of Bluetooth, and his very first implementation of that. And that kind of gave me some other ideas about, like, well, maybe we can reverse the hopping sequence and so forth. And ultimately, I ended up contacting him, and we just started working together.
So why is it that sniffing Bluetooth or monitoring Bluetooth is so much more difficult than it is with my 802.11 radio? Why can't I just put my card in promiscuous mode?
It's the frequency hopping. And in your 802.11 radio card, pretty much every card has monitor mode capability these days, right? And a lot of them can do raw frame injection too. But that just isn't available with the Bluetooth chipsets. For example, the most common Bluetooth chipset has a correlator that looks for frames, and the frame synchronization sequence is unique to a particular address. So the correlator that's implemented in hardware has you have to plug in an address to it for it to be able to find packets in the first place. So you have to have prior knowledge of the address in order to locate packets, unless the packets have some standard address or something like the discoverable mode packets.
So is that why you can't just do kind of like a Kismet for, as an analogy, a Kismet for Bluetooth and then target a single BSSID or MAC address or whatever it may be?
You could if you had prior knowledge of the address, or if you were only looking for discoverable devices. Mm-hmm. Now, it's interesting that you mentioned Kismet, because Kismet could be used with other hardware in addition to off-the-shelf Bluetooth modules. We're talking about maybe integrating Kismet with the USRP code that we're working on. So it would be a more expensive module than the one that you have built into your laptop,
Right.
but it would be, we might be able to bring the capabilities of Bluetooth monitoring to tools like Kismet and Wireshark and so forth.
Now, when I asked you where the difficulty is with just using a Bluetooth dongle, you mentioned the hopping. Just some numbers from your talk. You said that there are 79 channels, and am I getting this right, that it's around 79 megahertz?
That's correct.
And 1,600 hops per second?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of throughput. Is it one packet per hop, or how does that work?
It is one packet per hop. There is a time slot that starts every 1,600 times per second. There's a new time slot. And at each of those time slots there's a new channel selection. Now, a single packet can span 1 to 5 time slots, and it will remain on that frequency for the duration of the packet. So if you have a very long packet that takes up multiple time slots, then you'll skip some of the next hops until the next packet starts. It'll just stay on that frequency until that packet's done. So the maximum packet rate is 1 packet per time slot, but it can be less than that due to packets being longer, or it can be less than that just due to the traffic being sparse. Like I've never seen a fully busy Bluetooth network so far that had every single time slot occupied. Even a fairly busy network like a mobile phone and headset still uses less than half the time slots.
Now, you came about this problem by using the USRP to do the sniffing. What kind of approaches and difficulties did you first attempt and learn when you started to try to actually sniff the entire spectrum, the 79 channels?
Well, I knew right off the bat that we didn't have a way to get all 79 channels without doing a lot of work. Dominic had come up with this implementation that did a single channel, and I knew that it should be relatively easy to extend that to say 8 channels in the case of the USRP or 25 channels in the case of the USRP2, but not likely to be done in real time. So
why is that?
Just because of the amount of CPU time required to process the raw radio waveform, we're dealing with a lot of bits per second. The USRP2 it is spitting out a pair of 32-bit floats for every single sample, 25 million of them per second.
Right, that's not USB based, obviously.
No, it doesn't fit on the USB bus, and that's why
that was the biggest problem with the USRP1.
Right, and so that's why they've had to upgrade it with the USRP2. Edis has made it based on a gigabit Ethernet bus instead of USB bus, and even then, the gigabit Ethernet is the bottleneck. The FPGA on the USRP2 has to down convert from 100 megasamples per second all the way down to 25 megasamples per second. Or not down convert, but downsample, in order to just in order to fit it over the gigabit Ethernet bus. So that's really our limitation. And then when we get all those bits coming in at a very high rate to the host computer, processing them is very expensive CPU-wise, and processing them 25 times as much to do all 25 channels.
So with your typical laptop's dual-core system, what are you able to achieve?
Roughly 1 channel per core. So I can, on my laptop that I used in the demo, I was successfully able to decode 2 channels at a time, but I was not successfully able to decode 8. I mean, some packets were detected on various channels, but I dropped a lot.
Well, it sounds like a complicated problem, and at first when you start thinking about it, okay, if I can do 1 channel per core, there's 79 channels, just throw a lot of money, throw a lot of iron, throw a lot of brute force at it, but that's not the approach you ended up taking. What kind of finesse did you end up cheating kind of here to end up getting that kind of spectrum?
Well, we did kind of two different tricks, and ultimately a big iron solution is really the only way that you're going to build a monitor that can detect all Bluetooth devices on all channels simultaneously. But if you're interested in targeting only a particular network, a single piconet at a time, then that piconet is only using 1 frequency at a time. So the first trick that we use is to actually follow the hopping sequence, which is a pseudo-random sequence. And that allows us to select the correct channel at the correct time and only have to decode one channel at a time instead of 25 or 79.
But you have to predict where it's going to hop.
Right, right. We have to predict the hopping sequence. It's a pseudo-random sequence that is based, it's a overly complex algorithm that it basically takes the address of the master device and the clock of the master device and crunches some numbers and spits out a channel number. The clock value, the address doesn't change. So once we're able to acquire the address, we have that. The clock value increments 3,200 times per second, and it's a 28-bit number, 27 of which get used for this clock hopping algorithm. So we just calculate the entire table of every possible hop, or every possible channel that occurs at each clock, and then we observe a bunch of packets and say, well, we got one at this time on this channel, and then we got one X number of time slots later on this other channel, and then we got one X number of time slots later on this other channel, and just search through that big sequence until we find a unique match. And sometimes it takes a few tries, and we have to get more packets sometimes until we get a unique hit. Actually, the hopping algorithm tends to result in a lot of repeats, and so it's pseudo-random, but it's not very random.
Okay. Well, that's the crazy awesome science. And so now that you've assumed that it's following that, and without getting too technical in how we're actually tricking the USRP into doing the aliasing and doing that, let's talk about the practical. So say like we do have the ability to sniff it, right? What can we do with that now? And you've shown some proof of concept code. Like what surprised you about that when you saw it?
What do we do with it now that we have it? That's a good question, and it's something that Dominic and I have. It's a discussion we sort of have put off because we've been so focused on just getting packets, and there's so much work that has gone into just getting packets, and we're to the point now where we finally have packets, and well, yeah, we could improve our code quite a bit, but we have packets now. What do we do with them? Is a big question that we just kind of started talking about yesterday. You know, like one of the things he threw out there is Josh Wright did a demo where he used Dominic's single channel solution to recover the address of a device and then subsequently configure an off-the-shelf Bluetooth card to use that device and spoof the master and convince, so like the next time that a Bluetooth headset, for example, is turned off and then on again, it could connect to the malicious device instead of connecting to the cell phone. You could also do a man-in-the-middle attack in that kind of way. That's possible. There are a number of attacks that have been developed. There was an attack that Dominic mentioned on the pairing algorithm, or the pairing protocol. And so we can capture the whole pairing process now and actually try out that algorithm off of live captures that we've acquired already. And we haven't tried that yet. We can also build all kinds of higher layer stuff, integrate with Kismet, integrate with Wireshark, and I mean, there's a lot that could be done that we hope that the work that we've done so far kind of opens the door to all this stuff.
Now, have you tried using the USRP to do any sort of injection?
That's a good question, because the USRP, one of the great things about it is that it can transmit and receive. It is difficult, however, to have very precise timing with your transmits and receives. There's some new code that's being worked on right now that allows some in-band signaling to try to fix these problems, but there are definitely challenges. One of the things that reversing the hopping sequence does is it allows us to know which channel we would have to transmit on at what particular time in order to inject traffic into a network. Also, the clock value is required to do part of the packet whitening process. In addition to knowing what channel to transmit on, you have to actually know the clock value in order to format the packet in the first place. So we've acquired the address of arbitrary device that we can find. We've acquired the clock value, and we can, in theory, use that to generate new packets, whiten them, and transmit them at the correct time on the correct channel.
Now, when you first started into this project, how much of the Bluetooth stack did you know? Were you familiar with?
None.
What surprised you the most when you started getting really nitty-gritty with Bluetooth?
I think what surprised me the most was the fact that there are over 1 billion Bluetooth devices on the planet, and almost none of them have any kind of real security measure.
No, 0000 is security.
Right. They have 4-digit pins
Yes.
that are easily crackable, even if they're not 0000, which most of them are. And most of them don't use any encryption. There's an encryption standard in the Bluetooth specification, but and it's been shown to have some weaknesses, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
But even so, hardly any devices use it. And people are using Bluetooth for amazing things. I mean, Dominic was saying that train conductors in the UK have Bluetooth-enabled credit card readers, and in the United States we have wireless traffic control systems, traffic signal control systems that use Bluetooth. So you can go around and like turn on traffic lights and turn them off and stuff like that. And they're being used. You know, headsets are ubiquitous, and people have private conversations all the time. And you have an encrypted communication between your phone and the phone network, but you're transmitting that same conversation in the clear between your headset and your phone.
Right. So given the proof of concept, how far we are right now with like research, given the expense of the USRP2, I believe, what, $1,400?
That's for the base model without any daughter boards, so it's a little bit on top of that.
Do you think, and when do you think, if it is possible, that there would be some sort of off-the-shelf solution for, you know, Joe Hacker to start really playing with this?
I don't know, right? You know, we've only just gotten to the point where we have a device that's you know, the cost of a nice laptop that can do this stuff, and we're just kind of exploring what we can do with that at this point. Getting to the point where it's as affordable as, say, a Wi-Fi, a hackable Wi-Fi module, we're a long way from that. And if we ever get there, it's probably going to come in the form of hacking some kind of off-the-shelf device. Unfortunately, right now, all the off-the-shelf devices that we know of are not capable, even with custom firmware flashed on them, of doing what we're able to do with the USRP2. So I don't see a time in the near future when this technology is going to become accessible below the $1,000 level.
Okay. Is there a place that people can play with the code or play with the Bluetooth dumps that you've done?
Yes. And we have a project called GR Bluetooth, GR-Bluetooth, and that's hosted on SourceForge. So just go to SourceForge and search for GR Bluetooth, and we have our first release was made the other day, version 0.2. We're so confident in it that we gave it a fifth of a version number. And we also put together a package of short sample files that are captured waveforms of actually the very devices that I was using in the demo today.
So you could reconstruct the codec and actually listen back to the conversation?
Theoretically, yes. You should be able to, and that's one of the higher layer things that we haven't done yet, is say decoding the audio so you can actually listen to a conversation from the packets that we've captured, right? But theoretically, from those samples that are on the website, you should be able to decode that audio and tell me what was, so I'm waiting for the email from the first person to tell me what was being said on that phone call in my lab.
This is very exciting in these very, very early days of this type of Bluetooth hacking, to see the challenges that have to be overcome before the most simple of tools can be put together to really take advantage of it on a practical level. Mike, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate you
Thank you very much.
giving us some of your time, and just thanks for being here and coming on.
All right. It's a pleasure.
Last week's trivia was, our friend the Fawn uses a captive portal to power FawnSpot. Name the open source project that forked from that captive portal in 2008. And that was correctly answered by ForceMaster99, who correctly answered with Kuvachili. We're going to give ForceMaster one of the awesome CDs from Dual Core. At dualcoremusic.com, you can check out more of his stuff. And if you want to check out this week's trivia, go to hak5.org/trivia and use those little letters that are popping up all over the place during this episode. Fill that in, hopefully get the trivia answer right, and then maybe we'll send you some awesome, cool little giveaway if you answer in the first 24 hours. And last but not least, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Netflix. Netflix, thank you so much for sponsoring this episode of Hak5. With Netflix, you can rent over 90,000 titles online, including lots of Blu-ray titles, with free shipping both ways to your home. They now have over 40 shipping centers, so almost all deliveries happen in just one business day. Plus, Netflix plans start at only $4.99, and as a new member, you can get a 2-week, no-risk, free trial membership at www.netflix.com/hak5. And please, don't forget the 3 W's. And I think we got a couple more awesome interviews from Shmoocon for you.
So, Mr. X, how did you get involved with Aircrack?
So, just got interested in wireless because during my studies, at the end of the year, I got a new laptop with a wireless card, and then started learning everything about wireless because I wanted to test everything, and then found Aircrack and got interested in it. Submitted really small patches to do a few things, and then at some point the author of Aircrack disappeared without any news, and that was around December 2005. And then in February, at the end of February 2006, I started Aircrack-ng because I first wanted to make modifications and keep the modifications for me, but I thought it was a good idea to share it to the community, to have feedbacks and things like that.
How has the project evolved since you first started working on Aircrack-ng?
We have, for example, a lot of new tools, like Airbase, some tools to do WPA attacks that you heard in the news.
So tell me about the speeds with cracking. What kind of techniques can we see in the future or even now to increase the speed of cracking?
You can use Pico cards, FPGA. You can also use GPU, graphical cards, but that's not yet in Aircrack-ng, but that's planned. You already know CUDA from NVIDIA, and we will try to support AT Stream too. And that's pretty fast.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. X.
Thank you.
So Johnny, you right off the heels of some great selling books, what's been keeping you busy lately?
The book sales have been just absolutely phenomenal. I've been amazingly blessed by like these, Google hacking was phenomenal. It did really well. But then Volume 2 came out, and I didn't expect it, but sales increased. This thing was still rolling. And then No Tech, it was a stealing book in the middle there, 4th book of the stealing series. And then No Tech, it was just like this grand slam of books. So I've been really happy with books. I ended on No Tech Hacking, which did great. It was my style. It was fun.
It was a great talk too.
Thanks. And people, it really resounded with a lot of people. But I got to that point where I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a break. A dozen book projects. Not only did I feel burned out, but I felt pretty fulfilled about it. I was like, this is a good place to quit for a while. So I did. The No Tech book, all the proceeds are going back into our charity. So I think that's part of the reason it's selling really well. There might be some church moms somewhere buying cases of books to feed kids in Africa.
Now, well, you talked to us about the charity last year at Shmoocon when we did a live show, and then we forgot to plug the little red and the white wires into the mixer, so we didn't get audio, but we had a lot of fun putting it together as a lol hack.
The Lolcats episode is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah,
because it was just hilarious.
Just saw Jason Scott in New York, and he absolutely loved it as well.
The wheels on the bus. I mean, I just keep. So I'm planning my own edit of that. I'm going to do certain parts of it backwards, and it's just so much material. But,
so tell me, how did the charity come about? How does a hacker go into the whole charity work?
Yeah, that's the big question. So I mean, I was like most people in this community. I mean, trust your techno-lust, right? I mean, I had it big time. Had the staying on the cutting edge. Doing pen testing, doing physical security stuff. I mean, you never know what you're going to run into, so you stay on top of everything. I was cutting edge, bleeding edge on absolutely everything. So my wife, wanted to go to Africa. It's been like her whole life. She's wanted to go to Africa, work with children. So she got an opportunity to go, like through our church, and I was like, go, this is your thing, do it. So she went, and I was at Black Hat, I think 2 years ago, and I opened my talk saying, you know, I just got a text message from my wife who's in Uganda, and she's telling me that she just got hot water, and chickens walk with her, and I'm like, oh, isn't that cute? And I waltz into my sweet bathroom in Caesar's Palace with the marble walls and LCD flat screen, and I'm like, wow, we're like worlds away. But she came back with some footage that really struck me. Like, you know, you've seen it in National Geographic and stuff. You see poor kids, and you see skinny kids, and you see the flies on their eyeballs, and like, we've gotten used to this stuff. Well, she came back, this was her own footage, and she's showing me pictures of these kids with joy, you know, happiness, and like laughing and dancing, singing, having a good time. And then she shows me where they live, like dirt hut, you know, one shirt, it's like ripped to shreds. Oh, by the way, this child's parents both died. They're an orphan, living with a family of 12. This is the aunt. And oh, by the way, they haven't eaten in a week. And I was like, what are they happy about? You know, that like sort of stuck with me. I was like, you know, my latte doesn't have, you know, quite the right amount of milk or sugar in it in the morning, and I'm like grumpy.
Yeah.
These kids, you know, it was something different. So I was curious about that. Next year, the trip came around again. I decided to go with her. And that's where things started to get interesting. I was picturing digging in the dirt. I was picturing, you know, doing some construction, you know, typical whatever.
Yeah, framing houses, all that stuff.
I could do that. I could do manual labor. I could probably screw it up too, but
let's do a hacker style. You know?
I could do the light bulbs. I'd be good at the light bulbs. But when I got there, what they really wanted is they found out I was a computer guy, and it turned out the organization I was working with had computer systems that I had donated that were like overrun with viruses and needed all this work. And so I spent 2 weeks doing computer work, and never expected that.
You know, why is it that us as geeks, and you know, Africa aside, but you can't go anywhere. You can't go home for the holidays without removing the spyware. So,
right. So I think it comes
but it's
with the
familiar.
territory.
It does, yeah.
I mean, if you're a computer guy, you can fix hardware and you can do all of this crap, and it's like, yeah, it's expected.
But that's really valuable. When I mean, that's really cool that they've got access and whatnot. So,
right. I mean, well, you think about it. It's like you know, you go to grandma's house for Thanksgiving, and you know her computer's overrun with spyware, and you fix that. That's like so valuable outside the context. You know, like here, that's not a big deal, but when you do that for somebody that doesn't have access to that, it's a huge deal. But it was an even bigger deal because a virus on a computer in a third world country for a non-government organization is holding spreadsheets of children who are getting money for food from sponsors probably in the US. A virus, a stupid macro virus on an Excel spreadsheet disconnects everything.
Yeah.
And now it's like, we have this money, where's it supposed to go? You got a kid that's not eating. So my work there opened my eyes. So when I got back here and I'm doing cool stuff, it was still great. I still loved the tech, but it's not like I was saving anybody's life. It was like a big downer. And everybody I talked to was like, just give it a little bit of time. You know, 2-3 weeks, you'll be over it. 2 months later, I'm still thinking about it. So then, as I thought about like our community, all the skill that we have, the idea that I came up with was, let's see if we can connect the skill in this community with need in underdeveloped countries. And that's where Hackers for Charity started.
So how does somebody get involved with Hackers for Charity, and what could they expect to volunteer and do if they joined?
Well, we're pretty grassroots right now. I mean, we're keeping it small, and we're trying to do a few things well. So right now, we have a basic mailing list. We got a Google Groups list. You sign up for that. Something comes along, and for example, a charity that needs a website. We say, hey, we got this charity. They can't afford to pay. Anybody interested in building a website? The idea is what we want to do for our technical initiative is we want to connect people that are looking for jobs in the community, are looking to improve their careers, or some brilliant hacker that's flipping burgers, that's not even working in IT. We want to get them jobs. Good jobs, better jobs.
I love this idea.
Yeah, and so then what we do is we'll connect them with people that have the need that can't afford it. It's a win-win. And it's all about this magic word, empowerment. It's improving the life of technologists, hackers, giving them better jobs, by at the same time improving things for a charity. And in turn improving the life of the people at the charities.
So far, how's it been going?
It's been overwhelming. I had no idea that there was this sort of latent goodness in the community. I mean, I knew it at a personal level.
Oh, hackers are good people. We came in here and left all of our equipment for like well over an hour, and nobody's going to steal it. They're all hackers.
That's the thing. I mean, there's this media perception that hackers are all evil, and it's a side benefit of having done this, but the media started to take notice and go, hackers working with charities, and they're like confused by that. Well, they shouldn't be, you know what I mean? So to answer your question, it's been really overwhelmingly positive to the point that I realized I needed to focus on, more in a full-time endeavor. So you got the technology program, where we're looking to connect skills with need. The other thing that we're doing is we're building classrooms, computer classrooms in East Africa.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
So are you accepting like hardware as donations for like for the the classrooms and whatnot?
We used to. Our first classroom was built entirely out of donated laptops that we lugged over in our suitcases. Most of them made it over unmolested. One of them vanished. One of them didn't work. It was expensive. It was heavy. And so we used to take old equipment and try to get it there. It's just too hard. And it's too expensive. So what we do now is in about 3 weeks, our site's going to be up full steam. And we're in a temporary phase right now where I'm letting people know what's going on. Click a button, you say, I've got this hardware. This service I donate comes in and says, we got a buyer. Buyer's going to pick up the gear, takes a percentage, gives us the rest of the money. We buy computer equipment in country.
Great. So then you get the new stuff, and it's a great way for me to get rid of all of those PCI cards that are laying around in my closet.
Absolutely. So we wanted to find a way to use your upgrade trail. Most people aren't going to get rid of perfectly working whole computers or perfectly working laptops. Throw a Linux distro in there or something, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But people have crap, and we want to take that, turn it into stuff that makes a difference.
Sounds like a very rewarding endeavor.
Yeah, and that's part of what I want to encourage people that are looking into this is that once you connect with something like that, that really starts changing people's lives, it sticks with you. It's addictive. It's part of giving.
Yeah.
Is that it keeps going. So we've been encouraged by that.
So where can you encourage our viewers to go and get rid of some of their old hardware, donate some of their web services or IT skills?
Yeah, our website is hackersforcharity.org. It's right down there in the title. We also have the tagline is I Hack Charities. We also have ihackcharities.org.
Nice.
And that's what raises eyebrows. People that aren't even into computers are like, dude, what's that about?
Yeah.
And so it's our website's pretty low budget right now because we're completely revamping everything to honestly to make up for how slammed we've gotten and how much interest that there is. So just check out our website and give you more information.
Thank you so much, Johnny.
Awesome.
Really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me. Oh, and also the pineapple, the Hak5 pineapple.
Yeah, the
You guys, now which is it? Is it Jaseger or Jaseger?
Ich weiß nicht.
Yeah, ich dein gut. Right, so, anyway, the pineapple. Darren built this awesome pineapple, and
Robin.
According to everyone was involved.
And Mubix.
It was a group project. Okay. Somebody donated this awesome pineapple, the whole Hak5 team, for our silent auction, and people are going nuts for it.
Yeah.
It's our biggest silent auction item so far.
Well, it's exciting. I've never made a pineapple for anyone else, so
it's doing great.
Hell, I'd sell them left and right if they were cheap enough for me to actually do. But
little side business. So
yeah.
Thanks a lot. Hak5 rocks.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, so that wraps up our Shmoocon 2009 episode. We want to thank Bruce and Heidi Potter and all the schmooze here for the great conference that they actually put on. And getting into it, there's conferences like these that we like to go to all the time, and Shannon will talk about that a little bit later. But I want to let you guys know about the survey that's currently going on at revision3.com/Hak5 survey. It's very important that you guys fill it out so we can get some sort of feedback. And some people are like, it's way too long. No, it's really not. If you've ever taken a survey before, this is cakewalk. So go ahead, revision3.com/Hak5 survey, and get your form fillage out on. Yeah, exactly. So, and now kicking it over to the lovely pimp jacket wearing Shannon.
I'm a pimp daddy. Okay, I'm just kidding. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for supporting us and everything that we've been doing. If you want to support us even more for going to conventions like this one and bringing you these awesome interviews and all these cool projects that everybody's been doing these days, you can head over to hak5.org/stickers. We have plenty of awesome, cool new sticker packs for you. We got a pineapple sticker, an evil server sticker. Where's that evil server sticker? Where'd it go? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it looks good.
An evil server sticker.
We got all sorts of new stuff coming.
Oh yeah, plenty of new stuff. So thank you so much for supporting us, and check it out if you want.
Thank you. And I want to tell you guys about Season 5 because it is right around the corner. But before I do, I have to thank one of our awesome sponsors for making this show happen, and that is Squarespace. If you head over to www.squarespace.com and you sign up with coupon code HAK5, you can save 10% off the life you order. Their plans start at just like $8 a month, and a really awesome web hosting service with a very unique web creation, content creation system that's kind of like a back end put on the front end where you can create a page in like minutes, whether it's anything from like a blog to a big corporate website. I am personally actually putting together a big corporate website, and I decided to use Squarespace as the engine for it, and my trial was expiring as I'm like trying to convince management that, dude, this is the way to go, right? So 10:30 at night, I send a ticket saying, hey, my trial's about to expire. Can I get an extension until the 20th? Oh yeah, 2 minutes later, 10:30 at night. Well, this was East Coast, but dude, that's some awesome service. So check them out, squarespace.com. Use coupon code HAK5. Supports the show, and we love Squarespace, so it's pretty cool. Now, Season 5, you guys excited?
Yes, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Well, okay, so 26 episodes, that is a season. If you've ever watched a season of Star Trek, you know, Next Generation, you know what I'm saying. Woo woo. And basically, we feel that the gradient, the gradual production enhancements and everything that you've seen in Season 4 have resulted in actually better content, especially the last quarter of the season. You've noticed leaps and bounds in the amount of research and the production quality that we can put into it, and that's because we pretty much nailed down production. Going HD was really trial by fire. You want to say anything about that?
It was a pain in the ass. We tried a couple different solutions. We had HD cameras that were shooting composite into a garbage mixer and mic problems and all of this other bullshit. And finally, with the help of, your guys' donations, it really is now not an issue. We can take everything out of the box, drop the box, set everything up in, 45 minutes? Yeah. Less than, so it's no longer in the back of our head is audio right, is this right, is oh my god. And so and now that we've actually conquered that hurdle, I feel like it's definitely much better.
Yeah, so we've got the production all nailed out. It's still a very hacker setup because we didn't go with the 12 grand mixer. We can't afford the 12 grand mixer, but we put together a little hack solution for a lot less, and we'll show you guys that soon because it's really inventive and whatnot. Yeah, but it's a hack that works, so we're very happy with it. So now that that's out of our mind, we're doing some excellent stuff. So Season 5, look for it next week. There's no break or anything. We've got, as you've seen, new set, kind of gradual, HD, kind of gradual. We're getting a monkey, so that's going to be cool. You can send your questions to evilserver@hak5.org if you want him to answer those at the end of the show. It should be fun. So yeah, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week. So this is au revoir for Season 4 of Hak5.
And folks, we're reminding you to trust your technolust.
And we are here at Shmoocon, and it's one of those conferences where you're like, I like cheese.
Hey, and welcome to the... Ooh, sorry, hit your boob with my elbow. I'm like, bam, snubs. Move a little bit what way? Okay.
I'm a freestyler like int 80. I'm up here in the hotel with the mic that doesn't rhyme. He's better at it than me.
2.6 is a good version for Recurnal, not for WordPress. Catch me on the Hak5 site inspecting, or maybe a sequel truncation injection. You can catch it for real every time I squeal. It's my sequel to Dolphin, and that's for real. Hak5 dual core, we get together and make things rain just like the weather. I'm Darren Kitchen from Hak5. We've been hanging out with Int80 from dual core.